Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Jamar back from Vegas Scents. As the video title suggests, this is going to be 5 fragrances that I have in my collection that feature the note of saffron, and in my opinion, they smell really luxurious and classy. All right. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely stick around for the video. Also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and also please leave a like and a comment below. So just to get straight into the video, the first fragrance that I have here, I actually just have a sample of this particular fragrance. I got a sample of this when I bought a fragrance from Alexandria Fragrances, and this is kind of like their sister company. This is from Sphinx Fragrances, and this is Black Anubis. All right. So with Sphinx Fragrances, they only make original creations and not clones like Alexandria. But with this fragrance, I was pretty surprised with just how good this smelled. I didn't really know what to expect, I guess, from the name of this fragrance. I was definitely kind of expecting something more sort of darker and dense. This is definitely a really sort of versatile, in my opinion, really kind of fresh and aromatic sort of, saffron scent. So when you first spray this on, you get this really sort of sweet, fresh and aromatic combination of saffron, grapefruit, and in my opinion, definitely like a rose note as well. This fragrance, like I said, it comes off being really fresh. And the way that the grapefruit has been, blended with this particular fragrance, it's not like a super sort of bitter grapefruit, like nothing like what you would get in something like Bleu de Chanel or like Bulgari's Tiger. This is definitely going to be more of, like I said, a really sort of sweet, ripe grapefruit that you get with this one. And the saffron, it does sort of add kind of like a sweet spiciness to the fragrance as well. This isn't a saffron that comes off like leathery at all, in my opinion. But just overall, like I said, this is a really sort of versatile scent that I think that you could wear in the summertime, the spring, the fall. Probably in the winter time, you may have issues with this one because it is more so kind of like on the lighter side of things. But I think, again, this has a lot of different uses that you could get out of it. Dates, formal wear, work, in my opinion. I think you could still get away with this one at work. There's just a lot of different, uses that I think that you could get out of this one. And it doesn't really get too much attention here on YouTube. So definitely want to bring more attention to it. I definitely plan on getting a full bottle of it. This again is Black Anubis by Sphinx Fragrances. All right, so the next fragrance up, this is definitely, the scent DNA has been cloned 1,000 different times. All right, and this is Haramain's take on it. This is Haramain's Amber Oud Rouge. All right, so this is their take on Baccarat Rouge 540. Baccarat Rouge 540, that scent DNA, it does also, it is pretty versatile as well. Now, in my opinion, this is not going to be as versatile as what the Black Anubis is. I think the Black Anubis, with the amount of sweetness and sort of aromatic nature that particular fragrance has, I think Black Anubis is probably going to be a little bit more mass appealing, in my opinion, honestly. However, this fragrance, I think, is still going to be, kind of right up there with it, just slightly below it. The way that this fragrance comes off is when you first spray it on, you get a sort of spicier, definitely a spicier take on saffron, in my opinion. It doesn't come off as being as sweet as what Black Anubis is. This is definitely kind of like your more sort of spicy, slightly sweet, but more kind of like aromatic ambergris, sort of scent that you get from this one. And it definitely is one that kind of hangs in the air. You get, you know, really good sillage from this one, really good longevity. I don't tend to go nose blind to this version of the scent DNA. I know I've smelled other clones of this that I have gone nose blind to, so I'm not really sure what the real difference is between those. But I typically can smell this the entire time that it's on me, and I tend to get at least about 8 to 9 hours or so on skin with the Amber Oud Rouge. All right. So in terms of when I would say I would recommend this particular fragrance, I mean, pretty much in any situation that I mentioned with the Black Anubis, I would say the only difference with this fragrance is I would not recommend wearing this one really at any sort of time in the summer, because again, this does have a slightly more sort of dense, you know, sort of smell to it. So this definitely comes off as being a little bit more heavier. This is, in my opinion, this is definitely something that I more so reach for in like the you know, fall and winter months, when it definitely becomes a lot more cooler out here in Las Vegas. But this is one that I would say you would want to wear formally. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to work unless you really went light on the sprays, like maybe 1 or 2 sprays under your shirt. But also, again, this is going to be really good for like a date. Maybe if you're going to a party or something like that, you could wear this, or like a formal event. Definitely is when I would say, you know, you would want to reach for this one. But again, this is another take on Saffron. Like I said, it's more of like a spicier, sort of aromatic, ambergris sort of smell. And this is Haramain's Amber Oud Rouge. The next one up, this is definitely going to be, in my opinion, the most dense sort of take on Saffron that I have in my collection. This is F.A. Paris Fragrance World's Glorious Oud. So this is their take on Initio's Oud for Greatness. And in my opinion, I kind of look at Oud for Greatness as being more of like it is a formal scent in my opinion, but more kind of like a party scent. So definitely like a party or club scent, or like if you're going to a bar or something like that, I think, you know, you could definitely wear this. This would not be something that I would recommend wearing at work, because I think, you know, you'll definitely choke people out, especially if you're working in, let's say, like a call center where you have other people within like really close proximity to you. This is not going to be one that I would recommend that you wear. This is also not one that I would recommend wearing in like probably like the warmer spring months or the summer. I think this is definitely going to be a little bit too sort of spicy, too dense. And I think it just projects a little bit too loudly to be able to wear this in, you know, like the warmer months. But again, this is a really sexy scent. So I do think that this is a really perfect date night sort of scent, as long as you don't go too crazy with the sprays. And also, I mean, if you want something that just has like, you know, super long longevity and projection, this is definitely one that you want to look at. So again, this is F.A. Paris Glorious Oud. And again, this is definitely, in my opinion, this is going to be more of kind of like that sort of spicier, darker take on Saffron. All right. Next fragrance up, this is one of the newer pickups that I have in my collection. This is from Maison Alhambra, and this is Maison Alhambra's Exclusif Saffron. This is their take on Saffron Lazuli by Carolina Herrera. And this is more kind of like a sort of leathery, boozy sort of take on Saffron. It does also come off sort of spicy to my nose as well. But at least when you first spray this on, it comes off really, really boozy. Almost kind of like it, you know, I don't see any note listed for this, but it does come off as being almost kind of like cognac-like or something like that. And other people do get that as well. I've seen other people kind of compare at least the opening of this particular fragrance to like the way that Initio Side Effect smells. I don't really get that from this fragrance. I think honestly this comes off as being a little bit more boozier and alcoholic. And when I say alcoholic, not in like a perfumer's alcohol sort of smell, just, you know, kind of like a boozy sort of smell. But like I said, this one comes off boozy, spicy, and leathery. It has just a tad bit of sweetness to it, but not really too much. This also, to my nose, comes off as being sort of on like the drier side. And I think the dryness kind of comes from kind of like almost like a powdery, dusty sort of iris note that you get in this particular fragrance in the mid. And then pretty much once this dries down, you get sort of like a leathery, woody sort of smell. But in terms of when I would recommend this particular fragrance, definitely formally. I would say this is probably going to be best worn formally. So formally, I would say you probably could wear this to work. This doesn't come off as being like too dense or too loud, at least not on me anyway. So I think you could probably wear this to work. You would just have to, you know, kind of be cognizant of how many times you spray this. Probably just would go underneath the shirt more so. So definitely work, formal wear. And then in terms of seasons, I would say you could probably get away with wearing this one all year round. All right. So again, definitely check this one out if you haven't. The price on this one, if you can find it on fragrancebuy.ca, is only like $16. All right. So this again is Exclusive Saffron by Maison Alhambra. All right, and so the last fragrance that I have here, this is from Paris Corner's Killer Oud line, and this is Nights of Arabia. All right, Nights of Arabia by Paris Corner. This is their take on Byredo's Black Saffron, and this is right now anyway probably one of, I would say probably my favorite saffron fragrance on this list right now, just in terms of how sort of luxurious and rich this smells. And definitely I'm pretty impressed with the quality of this particular fragrance coming from, you know, a cheaper clone house like Paris Corner. I haven't smelled the original by Byredo. I do definitely plan on getting a sample of that one to compare. Same thing with the Exclusive Saffron. I'll definitely be getting a sample of the Saffron Lazuli to compare that one with. But this fragrance, when I first spray it on, this is more so kind of like that sort of sweet, aromatic, at the same time spicy sort of saffron that you get from this particular fragrance. Also, the way that the sweetness comes off in this fragrance, it starts off with like saffron, juniper berries, and I'll have to look at the other note here. Chinese grapefruit. The way that this comes off, it sort of reminds me of like that same kind of like candied sweetness that you get from Byredo's Bal d'Afrique. Now, I'm not saying that this smells at all like Bal d'Afrique. That's not what I'm saying. But you can definitely tell that this scent DNA is from like the same fragrance house, I guess, if that makes sense. I do get a slight similarity in the way that like that sort of juniper berry and grapefruit combination comes off in the opening spray of this one. That I do with the Byredo in terms of like how the black currant and the other citrus comes together in that fragrance. So like I said, this one starts off like really sweet, really aromatic, and then it starts to become more kind of spicy and leathery. So the leather definitely starts to come in pretty much right away after you kind of get that initial sort of fruity blast from this particular fragrance. And then definitely once you start getting to like, the heart of like the mid of this fragrance, that's when, you start getting more of like that kind of raspberry note from this fragrance. This does have some similarities, in my opinion, to like ombre leather. Definitely it doesn't smell exactly like ombre leather. This definitely has less leather and more sort of sweetness to it. So if you think that ombre leather is too leathery for you, or maybe too animalic, and you want something that is maybe sweeter or fresher, then I think this is definitely one to look at. This is definitely one that I would also probably recommend all year round. And definitely I would say you could wear this one to work, formally. That's probably really the only time that I would really recommend this one is, for work or formal wear, really. All right. So again, this is Killer Oud Nights of Arabia by Paris Corner. So let me know what you all thought of the list, man. Let me know if you all have smelled any of these clones that I've featured on the list. Also, have you smelled the original? And have you smelled both the originals and the clones? And how close do you think the clones actually come to the originals? All right. So again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, man. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're growing. We're getting more views each time I post. So I appreciate each and every one of you all for that. Definitely plan on, once we become monetized, bringing you all nothing but heat. So definitely, I appreciate you all again. And once again, man, that's Jamar back from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.